intro.
You don't have a good enough intro?
I don't have a good enough intro for today because
Boom! You know you came here for our keen insights.
that's how we're going to start this video, is just by doing that.
Let's get right into it. You know why you're here. You're here to listen to us. My name's Chris. This is Rick. We're going to be talking about something a little bit different today, especially now that we've gotten a little bit of a taste of kind of these conference games that have been going on so far, and just kind of our predictions as to who we think are going to win this season for the conferences, maybe even the tournaments, but we'll definitely come discuss about that when it comes closer to that point. But changes in the top 25 this last week. Hello to number 16 Louisville, number 21 Ohio State, and number 25 UConn. Goodbye to Florida State, Michigan State, and and Rutgers.
I'm a prophet! If you want lottery numbers, tweet at me.
And goodbye to Rutgers as well. Still ranked in the top 25 for the not-so-mid-major teams, number 1 Gonzaga and number 24 St. Louis. Getting votes still, Drake, San Diego State, and Boise State. New teams too getting votes, Winthrop and Belmont. So we have seen a drop for Richmond recently over this last week. And we'll kind of discuss that. But again, the purpose of this video is who will win their mid-major conference on the season. Mm-hmm. We are pretty much going to do speech and debate, kind of. We're going to do 2 minutes. You have to present your argument as to who do you think that is going to win these conferences. And we're going to focus on 4 conferences. We're going to focus on the Missouri Valley Conference, Mountain West Conference, the A-10 Conference, and the WCC. And we'll kind of do some special things about the WCC once we get to that, because, yeah, it's going to be not so much of a spoiler alert there. But we're going to get into it. So the first conference that we're going to be talking about is the Missouri Valley Conference. I will start off with this one. I will give who I think is going to win the conference. I may give like a team to steal, but I have 2 minutes to at least present my case on who it is. Rick will get his 2 minutes on who he thinks who it's going to be, and maybe we'll have some finishing arguments, and then we'll just move on to the next conference. Sound like a deal?
Sure.
Awesome. So my 2 minutes is going to start right now. I think it is going to be Drake that's going to win the seasonal title for the Missouri Valley. They are starting off 13-0, one of the few undefeated teams that are going on so far right now. They have beaten South Dakota State twice. South Dakota State is number 94 in Ken Palm with the adjusted offense of 41 overall. They limited to South Dakota State to less than 60 points. That's a big point for me. Overall in the season, 83.9 points a game, 16 assists, so they will pass the ball and score a lot. 53.5% field goal shooting. It doesn't matter who you're going against. Even if it's a bottom feeder teams, that is still really good field goal shooting. And they're 43% from the 3-point line. They're going to get about 8 or 9 shots made during a game from the 3-point line. They have played both their games, however, and this is kind of what's messing me up with whether or not they will go on to win the seasonal tournament, but their games versus Loyola Chicago and Missouri State were postponed. Those were games this last week that could have changed my ideas. However, I do think there is one team to steal, Loyola Chicago. Kind of a similar field goal percentage, 53.1% from the field, 18.4 assists. So they have a better passing percentage or better passing abilities than Drake, 41.2% from the 3-point line. So this is a team that's very even with Drake. However, the reason why I don't think it's going to be Loyola Chicago, there is a loss to Richmond for Loyola Chicago, 75-73. However, in Loyola Chicago's fairness, they were down by 20 points in the second half and rallied to just a 2-point loss. However, my counter argument to that argument is Drake is better defensively than Richmond, but they are not the same offensively for Richmond. So those are my 2 minutes. I will stop it there. That's why I think Drake is going to win the conference.
Okay.
Are you ready, Rick?
As I said, I was born ready.
2 minutes.
My 2 minutes are going. So, I think it's pretty obvious that undefeated Drake is the favorite in the conference. And there's no really other way to look at the conference. Nobody in the conference has a ranked win but several have ranked losses, except Drake, who is undefeated. Thus, they haven't played a ranked opponent. And Missouri State also has not played a ranked opponent and is sitting there at 8-1. So it looks like Missouri State is going to be a competitive team in there. But they actually split their series with Northern Iowa, and that is one of their losses, or is their only loss.
Yeah.
And so what stands out to me is just that's not necessarily a great loss in general, and just their record doesn't really hold up very well. So I don't really see that there's a whole lot of strength in this conference to come back and win. And so when you look at the numbers that Chris was talking about earlier with the 84 points a game and the 53.5% field goal, those are some mid 2010s Gonzaga numbers.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be a team that's right around there in the top 50. It's they're a tournament team, but they're not dominating in any sort of way. And so they're going to go through their conference. They're probably going to lose two, maybe three games. And they're going to get to the tournament. The question is somebody going to snipe them in their conference tournament to get the auto bid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. You still have 10 seconds. Do you want anything else to talk about?
What else do I want to talk about?
5,
Get
4,
good, Missouri
3,
Valley. You used to be
2,
awesome.
1. Yeah, and that's what I was actually going to do a little bit of a quick follow up to that question, but you answered it there. Is like, is Drake gonna lose at some point in time in the season? You probably say that they probably will. It will be interesting to see come conference tournament time, will someone get that steal of an auto bid?
Yeah.
And it would definitely be interesting to have Missouri Valley have 2, maybe 3 teams in the tournament, depending on where they think about Loyola Chicago, if Loyola Chicago doesn't get it too.
Well, the other question in that is, if somebody steals the auto win, will Drake's resume be enough to get them in because they don't have the tournament wins. They don't have the tournament losses, but do they have the tournament wins?
Right. Yeah, I see that too. So now that we'll definitely discuss that come closer to conference play times. We'll probably talk about these 4 conferences again. All right, we're going to now move on to Mountain West. Rick, you will start off with the Mountain West.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll just kind of go switch back and forth, okay?
Yep.
So then you'll do the Mountain West, and then I'll do the A-10 next. So who do you think is going to win the Mountain West?
It's going to be Boise State.
And
I think that's a pretty safe call coming out of the Mountain West. They have the win over BYU, which is very impressive. The biggest knock against Boise State is that they are 0-1 against ranked opponents. Mm-hmm. San Diego State is a very strong second contender in the Mountain West, and they are 2-0 against ranked opponents. So I could easily be upset there once they play each other, which is going to be later this season. But looking at the Mountain West as a whole, 7 out of the 11 teams are above 500 right now. And so that speaks to a lot of strength in the conference. But one of the biggest imposters in the Mountain West is probably going to be Utah State at 6-0 in conference. Mm-hmm. They have 2 wins over Air Force, San Jose, and New Mexico each. But at a 9-3 record, that means that they are 3-3 out of conference. So they are beating on they're clubbing Seals. And taking easy wins right now. They are going to be knocked back into place later this season. They have losses to BYU and another team that I saw in there that was not overall a powerhouse. And so Utah State is not a tournament level team, but they play in a conference that has 1 or 2 bids going to the tournament in Boise State and San Diego State. What is my time?
20 seconds left.
I have 20 seconds.
You want to use the 20 seconds?
I absolutely want to use these 20 seconds. Colorado State and Air Force are in the conference. Air Force is obviously not going to do anything. Colorado State, though, has notoriously
5 seconds.
Been a dark horse and snuck into it. So I'll be curious to see what they do this year.
Just on time. All right.
So now for my 2 minutes, starting now, I also think it's going to be Boise State, starting off the season right now, 9-1. Their only loss on the season was to Houston, who is very high up there in the rankings. 10-point loss to them, 68-58. I don't have much to say really beyond that about Boise State. But I will talk more about my team that I think is going to be the team to steal is going to be San Diego State. San Diego State, as Rick mentioned, has 2 ranked wins, both one against UCLA and ASU. Destroyed both teams. Destroyed UCLA 73-58, ASU 80-68. San Diego State, however, so far in the season, and this is kind of more where I get my impressions of how it's going to play out. If you asked me probably 2 weeks ago, I would have probably said San Diego State, but right now with that loss to Colorado State for San Diego State is one of my determining factors, as well as the loss to BYU, whereas Boise State has the win over BYU. That also kind of made my decision there as well. However, I will say this, San Diego State is going to win the conference or steal it from Boise State, more due to the fact that the final 10 games, Boise State has to go through the gauntlet of the Mountain West, which is Colorado State twice, Nevada twice, UNLV twice, Utah State twice, and San Diego State twice. They have to go through that for the final 10 games. And that's, if San Diego State's going to steal it, it's going to steal it then, because it's just hard game after hard game for Boise State in the final. And San Diego State this season does not have to play UNLV, so there isn't going to be that steal from UNLV from San Diego State. So that's why I think San Diego State has a good shot at stealing it. I think it's Boise State's to win. But because of those final 10 games, it's going to be hard for Boise State. But I think that they can do it.
All right. So, and I think you pointed out something very important there.
Final thoughts.
As I mentioned, San Diego State is 2-0 against ranked opponents, and Boise State is 0-1. Those 2 wins came against Pac-12 teams. And if you watched last week's episode,
we should be talking about who's going to win the Pac-12 tournament or the Pac-12 season in this video.
All right, so now moving on to the A-10, the Athletic 10. I'm going to start with this one, and you're going to follow up.
okay.
This one I may need to use more than 2 minutes because more of my team's to steal, but my 2 minutes starting now. I think Richmond, and I'm going to be really hard about this one. This one was definitely hard. I think Richmond, they have a win over Kentucky, which, is it a quality win? I don't know. You be the judge. They do have a win over Loyola Chicago. They have a win over Vanderbilt. Their losses to West Virginia, and they only scored, I shouldn't say only, they scored 71 points against West Virginia, who is a tough defensive team. They also have a loss against Hofstra, and they have a loss in conference against St. Bonaventure. Here's why I think Richmond's going to win on the season. They've already survived Davidson and Rhode Island, and they already lost to St. Bonaventure. My teams to steal are St. Louis and VCU because that they have pretty good seasonal records going on right now. St. Louis is the win over North Carolina State by they won by 11, but they did give up 21 turnovers in that game, and they have a win over LSU. They did lose to Minnesota, who is dominating this year as well. VCU has a win over Utah State and Memphis, and they did score 70 points over Memphis. They have a loss to Penn State. Memphis, by the way, is also a pretty good defensive team. They do have a loss to Penn State by 3. West Virginia, they scored 66 points, and they have a loss to Richmond already on the season as well. So Richmond having a win over VCU also makes me think that they can beat VCU on the conference season. And that's my bigger point, as well as that St. Louis and VCU have to play Davidson and Rhode Island and St. Bonaventure throughout the season already. So Richmond's already survived those. They don't have to play them anymore, but they still have to play each other. But Richmond is going to win on juggernaut offense, definitely not their defense. They must figure that out. They are 301st in opponent field goal percentage, so it's one of the highest for opponent field goal, and they're 210th in opponents' points per game. So defense is not there. It's just going to be juggernaut offense on how they're going to win their conference.
Okay. So I agree. Richmond's going to come out on top in this conference. What I looked at was their 1-1 ranking against opponents, against ranked opponents. They took down Kentucky by 10 points or 12 points, but then they lost to West Virginia. And so what am I seeing with that? Well, Kentucky, they have talent, but it was a game that took place before Thanksgiving, so Kentucky was also young and not very. There's some documented stuff going on there. So is it a game against talent? Yes. Is it a game against a good team? No. But what that does is it speaks to Richmond's ability to compete against athletic dudes. It speaks to their ability to be ballers, and you got to have a little bit of that swagger to come out on top. Looking at the rest of the conference, we could talk about VCU, but without Shaka Smart there anymore, they are not nearly as tenacious on defense, and they are not who they used to be. They still have some of that identity, and they still work hard, but they have, but they're not nearly as strong. And so the dark horse team I see in the conference is going to be Dayton. They're 6-3. They have a 1-point loss to Fordham and a 2-point loss to SMU and a 2-point loss to LaSalle. Those are all very close games. All of their games have actually been within a possession or two. Their biggest win was 11 points over Davidson. And so there's actually a history and tradition with Dayton. They are a basketball program that is recognized. And so there's going to be just a little bit more of a winning culture there to carry them deep into the conference. And so that's why they have the best chance to snipe.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any final thoughts about the A-10 going on? I think this one, when I was looking at this conference, I was like, who do I pick?
Yeah, you got to
this was a hard decision.
You have to give credit to St. Louis and the Billikens because they are ranked right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, they have some pretty interesting wins, and that Minnesota loss doesn't really.
I've been hard on them throughout the season too, where it's just like I haven't been impressed with their season. But yeah, that loss to Minnesota. But Minnesota is a top 20 team.
The A-10 is a multiple bid league. The question is 2, 3, or 4.
My guess is definitely 3.
2 to 3.
I think it's definitely 3. I think it could be 4.
I would go 1 under that because East Coast.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, the major conferences. Okay, so WCC, who's gonna win?
Gonzaga.
That we're not gonna discuss much beyond that.
Actually, hold up. It's gonna be San Diego.
USD is gonna come out of nowhere. But talking about WCC, I kind of want to make it a little bit different. Gonzaga, as well as what we have already talked about before, Drake, are undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
They played against amazing teams this season so far and have beaten or dominated.
Wait, Gonzaga's played people? I thought they didn't play anybody.
Yes, they have beaten and dominated a lot of great teams.
Like Northwestern State and Portland?
Like Kansas, like West Virginia, like Auburn.
Kansas would beat us if they played us today.
We're scared of them. We're scared of everyone. We're scared of San Diego State.
And Washington.
We're scared of UW.
Yeah.
So my question for this one, and again, it's going to be 2 minutes. Will Gonzaga lose during the season or in conference or in the tournament, conference tournament? And if they will lose, or if they do lose, who is it going to be that they're going to lose to? You want to start on this one?
Sure.
Start.
If they lose, it's a single game and it's at BYU.
Okay.
Having been to the Marriott Center and loving the Marriott Center, it's my favorite arena in the WCC. No diss on the Kennel. You'll always be my home. But if I had to go to a game, I would want to go to the Marriott Center. It's just an experience. If you haven't tried it, highly recommend it. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about why. So if they lose, it's because Marriott Center is probably the place where the Zags have lost the most since BYU joined the conference. And they're going to be at home, comfortable, higher altitude, and different time zone, all of these factors. And but I don't think that happens because they won't have the fans, or they probably shouldn't have the fans. Yeah. So and that's one of the biggest advantages of the Marriott Center is 20,000 strong. Mm-hmm. It gets loud and it gets fun, and that can get in your head in a close game. This game won't be close. Gonzaga will be up by like 20 points by halfway through the first half. It's going to be disgusting. Again. It's going to be disgusting. So that's not, like, if there was going to be a loss, that would be it. I don't think there's going to be one anywhere else. I can't see it. With St. Mary's taking the L to Santa Clara at home? Yeah, no, that's not an option. We already took down USF pretty easily. And we've got the film now, so when we go to USF, I think it's going to be an even better performance. Nobody else in the conference can keep up with our offense. I'd be curious to see what Pacific does at Pacific, because that's always been a tough game. But yeah, the scary places are Pacific, BYU, and USF, but nobody can just keep up with the Zags this year. We do not lose.
Alright, so those are your 2 minutes. My 2 minutes. No, Gonzaga is not going to lose during the season. Gonzaga is not going to lose in the conference tournament. That's my answer, plain and simple. Yes, we've already played BYU and USF at home. We still need to play St. Mary's twice, and we still need to play at BYU and at San Francisco, as well as at Pacific. Do we have to play at Pacific? I thought that was the one game that we didn't actually have. I don't think we have Pacific. I think we have them just home.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was like the WCC agreement. I actually think that it's just we have to play Pacific in Spokane once. But I just can't see it, even with the fans there. Yes, it could be different. What I'm more curious about with this season is, without the fans being there, how is Gonzaga going to play in War Memorial Gym? Because we were at the last 2 games at War Memorial Gym, and it was both within 10 points. That first one 2 years ago was a 3, maybe a 2-point win. I can't quite remember, but it was terrifying that we almost lost to San Francisco that first time.
Terrifying. Dude, inject that straight in my veins. That was fun.
But that's more of what I'm curious. I'm curious just in general how I think we're just going to blow San Francisco out. I hope by more than 10 points at War Memorial Gym, but it's like, that's like the one game where I'm going to miss seeing the season in person. Just because of how close and how well San Francisco play against Gonzaga in their home stadium in San Francisco. So, but overall, does Gonzaga lose during the season or in conference tournament? Absolutely not. I cannot see it happening at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, 3 seconds, whatever.
So, Gonzaga plays Pacific twice, but they dodge San Diego or LMU.
Did they switch something up because of last week?
No, because we dodged the bottom 2 from last year, which was LMU and Portland.
I thought I looked it up. It was Pacific this year.
Well, Pacific is currently on pause. They are at 3-1 and haven't played a game in a while.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see if they finish their season or if they just pack it up and get ready for next year. I would like to see them play some conference games. I think it would be really good for the development of their players and their program. I think Stoudemeyer deserves it.
A lot of recognition for that, yeah.
And so that's what we're looking at. But to your point, War Memorial.
Like I said, we were there those last 2 years.
What I'm remembering back to is Dolo Dower's senior year, we were rolling. We were ranked. We go to USF and we lose by 2.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking.
I'm curious, like this year, like without fans there, like is it going to be a close game in War Memorial, or is it going to be same old San Francisco where we're going to be biting our nails until the last like 30 seconds?
So San Francisco, well coached, very athletic guards, but we already have
yeah.
we already have one game against them.
Yeah.
We have film on them.
Yeah.
And we can prep for them. I don't see the game being a blowout. I don't see the game being close.
Yeah,
I see the game as me sitting on Twitter the entire time.
Hopefully. So that's where we're going to finish off this week. Let us know down in the comments below. Who do you think is going to win the Missouri Valley Conference? Who do you think is going to win the Mountain West? The Athletic 10 and the WCC. Is Gonzaga going to lose? Who's going to be in second place? Just let us know your thoughts down below. Also, before I forget, because I forgot this in the last video, we will be giving away a hat if we hit 50 subscribers on this channel. So please follow us on this channel. We also have Twitter accounts. The links are going to be down below to our Twitter accounts. But please get this YouTube channel to 50 subscribers, and then we will be doing a hat giveaway, and we'll figure out if we give merch or if we're just going to be giving away just some sort of a mid-major hat that it will be of your choice. So we want to make sure that you will be appreciative of the hat. But we will be giving away one of those. So please give this channel a like, subscribe, comment down below.
Give us a thumbs up.
Thank you. I'm running out of steam on this one right now.
Give us a follow.
Follow us on Twitter, and we will see you next week. So please stay safe and please stay healthy.
We're gonna offer up a date next time.